Hopefully I'm in frame. I think I am. Hello girlies, my name is Jelisa Hines and I'm going to be doing like the 2023 book recap. So for 2023 I read 25 books. I'm just going to go through. I have my Goodreads pulled up here so I can get my reviews on them. So I did read Fourth Wing. I absolutely loved this book. The bicker between the dragons, like it was giving. Initially when I first started reading, it was mainly just like spicy romance books, but then I kind of swapped over to a little bit of fantasy. I don't know what book got me into fantasy. I want to say it was ACOTAR, but I loved this book. I just have like the normal one. I don't have the sprayed edges one, but it's okay. But love this book. Highly recommend it. On Goodreads. Let me see. I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. My comment on it was, y'all read this book. That's all I gotta say, and it still stands. Read it. It was so good. Was the Caraval. This is book 1. I do have book 2 and I do want to get book 3. Caraval, it was a good book. It was pretty much about like these two sisters. Their mom had passed away. There's like this game, like world pretty much, where magic is just fucking crazy over there. And they decide to go to it and they go through. It's honestly a really confusing book. Like in the beginning it was really hard to understand exactly what was going on, but once it got to the end, man, it was gorgeous. Beautiful book. I really liked it. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. My comment on it was very much so looking for part 2. It is a bit of a slow read, but in some places it really picks up. The magic in the world is crazy though, and it's crazy. It's very like mind-boggling, but it is a good read, and I do plan on reading the second book to it in 2024, hopefully. Moving on, we got 14 Ways to Die. This is a murder mystery. This gentleman killed 13 people, including the main character's mother, and they're pretty much trying to figure out who did it. Very short chapters. Like most chapters are like 1 to 2 pages long. I think there's probably like max was like 4 or 5, but it was a really quick read. Very good palate cleanser, and like it does get you thinking about like who it could possibly be, and then it turns out to be someone like completely random. The only thing I did not like about this book is that there was a slight like romance interest in it, and I feel like it didn't get to blossom, but it makes sense. It's a murder mystery. There really isn't supposed to be all that much romance in it. So 14 Ways to Die, I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. My comment on it was definitely a good filler read. Short chapters, and the story is pretty interesting. It moves fairly quickly. Once the murder is actually revealed, it is quite shocking since the person isn't really mentioned a whole lot through the plot. I wish there was more of a love interest between Jamie and Jess, which is the two main characters, since homie risked his life so many times for her. But it was a good read and I really liked it. I do recommend this book. Next book, I really like this book. This is Drunk on Love by Jasmine Guillory. Pretty much what it is about this really successful businesswoman. She owns a winery with her brother. She goes to a bar that's relatively close to her apartment and the winery that she goes to all the time. And she meets this gentleman. Gentleman ends up working at the winery, and it just kind of flourishes and goes back and forth from there. But I thought it was really, really cute. She's very much so like a boss ass bitch, if you know what I mean. It's a 4 out of 5 stars. The comment that I put on this was, this book has some spice, but it's not super over the top, so it just gives you a little bit. The relationship between Margot and Luke, the two main characters, is really beautiful and cute. They're finding who they are to one another out, and it's really nice. I feel I resembled a lot of Margot with the over planning, organizational skills, so on and so forth. Her character is the real star of the show. I aspire to be a Margot Noble, a woman taking charge of what she wants, like, period. I'm with it. And that's pretty much what sums up this book. This book was really good, and I really did like Margot as a character. Moving on, I read If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. From what I could understand about this book, it was a book about this girl who was best friends with this guy. They started drifting once they got to like high school or something like that. I don't know. I may have to reread this one, but I do remember not being too big of a fan of it. I felt like it was very, very like high school drama, and I like to read books that kind of relate to me, I guess, like in a way. Not completely, but somewhat. I rated this one a 3 out of 5 stars. My input on it was, the book was cute, short chapters. It takes place in high school with high school problems that I couldn't relate to anymore. Very unrealistic scenarios, in my opinion. Very little plot twists until the end, and then it's kind of rushed after that. But it's a good read, keeps the attention, but I felt it was pretty predictable. That was back in April, so I don't know. I honestly don't remember what happened in this book, but it got a lot of love on Book Talk, so maybe I need to reread it again. Next up is Verity by Colleen Hoover, and for all the Colleen Hoover haters out there, I do not want to hear a single thing in these comments. Okay, I understand what she did or what she didn't do back in the day, but we're solely going based off of her writing, her stories, not who she is as a person. Anyways, I loved Verity. I loved it so much. I don't have the bonus chapter one, but I really, really love this book. It is a suspense with some romantic interest, but it's more suspense in my opinion. The entire time that I was reading this book, I was consistently looking over my shoulder. Like, I'd be like reading something scary, and then I would think I'd see something moving in the dark. Like, it was crazy. But pretty much it's about this writer. She has like this big meeting. She sees like this really bad accident. Some guy goes and helps her clean off the blood on her shirt because she was that close. And guy ends up being part of the meeting she's supposed to go to. And the meeting is like writing a couple books in a series of a previous writer. Or like a writer who's mute or whatever, but it gets creepy. Like, it gets, like, that's the gist of what happens, but it gets creepier. Honestly, what did I rate this? I'm pretty sure I rated it 5 out of 5. Yeah, 5 out of 5. My note on this was, love this, worth the read, super interesting. You always want to know what's next. And then I said to Miss Hoover, I need a second book to this book, because it was just that good. I need to know what happens. But for the people that have read it, or whatever the lady's name was that was mute, she did it. You can't go into that much detail and not have done it. If you know, you know. The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. I was not a fan of this book. It does talk about a rape victim I believe. There's no trigger warnings in this book, but it is a sexual assault victim. She gets sexually assaulted by her brother's best friend, and she goes through all of these deconstructive I don't know how to explain it. Like, she just starts deconstructing her life pretty much. Like, she's changing who she is. She's losing friends left and right. She's going through the whole 9 yards. This one I do remember putting a pretty hefty review on Goodreads, because if you're on Goodreads, you know, the moment that you say something that's out of pocket, people come for you. But I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars. My comment on this was, this book is difficult to write a true, honest review on, only because the commenters that will follow it. Everyone knows that all rape victims have their own story. However, this story is fiction. And if it is based on a true story, I apologize for that review if it is based on a true story. I feel the story was well told. You can really feel what she was feeling, how she changes so much about herself to get away from the shy, innocent girl who was raped by her brother's best friend. The ending is very anticlimactic in my opinion. After speaking to her first boyfriend, Joshua Miller, she has the courage to tell her parents and the detective and her brother. Quite frankly, I wasn't fond of Eden's character too much. She is the main character. I found her relatively annoying, how she would dodge questions left and right. She changed herself so much, all the people she has hurt, but people deal with trauma differently, and that's how she decided to handle it. And all the characters in the book, Mara, Cameron, and Steven, also ended up not liking her as well because of the change. All in all, the book was a bit predictable, but it does show how keeping the trauma to yourself can start eating at your past identity, and I think that Miss Smith captured that very well. If you do decide to read the book, I would definitely go in with a little bit more knowledge of what the book is about. From what I can remember, I don't believe it goes too in depth on the actual scene, but obviously do your research first, because don't need nobody getting triggered here. We're trying to read for fun. Okay, next book. I read Priest by Sierra Simone. And this book is a very, 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 very spicy book. However, it is overly spicy. What I mean by that is when it's just sex scene after sex scene after sex scene, it's not appealing anymore. It's not I'd be sitting there reading through the sex scene. I'm just like, dude, get over it. I'm done reading about this. Pretty much what it's about is a priest. He wanted to make a difference in the Catholic Church world. His sister was molested or raped by their family priest, so she ended up killing herself. So he decided to become a priest to change just the stigma between Catholic priests. He ends up meeting a girl who went to his confessional. She is I don't know if she's considered a stripper or an exotic dancer, but she is some form of, I guess, sex worker, you can say. He starts battling with his inner morals and deciding if he wants to be with her or not. She really wants to be with him. It's just a big old back and forth, and they have some really spicy scenes in this book. It was good for the spice aspect, but as far as character development and how they met and how their relationship flourished, it just felt, I don't know, it didn't feel genuine. It just felt all lust, and he's constantly saying he's in love with her, but it just felt like all lust to me. I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars. My comments on it were, the spice was definitely spicing, but sometimes it'd be super cringe. And his nickname for Poppy, what woman wants to be called a lamb? He refers to her consistently as his little lamb, and I think that's just weird. Their whole relationship honestly annoyed me, but it was a good filler read. I do not think I'm going to be progressing with this series because I really did not like the first book. It wasn't for me. I love my fair share of spicy, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't it. Next up, All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. This was a beautiful book. All Colleen Hoover hate, stands, whatever aside, it was a beautiful book. I loved this book. Did I write? Okay, pretty much in this book, I had to read the back because I read it earlier in this year. From what I remember, it's about a woman and a man. They're engaged. She comes home one day, her fiance is cheating on her with another woman. There's a guy outside their door, and it is that woman's like partner. They end up splitting up, and then she like goes through all these like sad moments. And honestly, it was just a really good read. I wrote so many notes in here. This is when I was really in my time phase. I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. Oh, I didn't mean to edit. I said, such a beautiful book with a beautiful love story. I really like the back and forth between the past and the future. It is pretty sad though, so have some tissues on deck. I didn't cry during this. I feel like I'm like not human, because like people be like, oh, this book is super sad, and it's like, this is me being sad when I read. Oh, that's so sad. I'm not here like bawling my freaking eyes out. I just can't do it. But it was a really good book. I'm most likely gonna read this again in 2024 because it was that good, and I'm really upset that I don't know, like I don't remember exactly what happens in it. But this is a good Colleen Hoover book. Like it starts with us, it ends with us, like beautiful books, but this one was really, really good. Like I really liked it. I read Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I did like this book a lot. The spice in this book was fucking spicing, dude. Oh my god. It was spicing. Like, oh my goodness, just thinking about it, I can't. It's pretty much a rewrite of Persephone in Hades. I don't know much about Greek mythology, but reading this book, well, obviously, I don't think it's like verbatim to the actual story, or the mythological story. I guess they're called stories. I don't know, but this book, like, even though I don't have a clue anything about Greek mythology, like this book was still pretty easy to understand and to get through. I do want to get the rest of the series because it was so freaking spicy. Like imagine just being on display and, you know, doing the deed in front of all these people and loving it. I just can't. I can't. I rated this book a 5 out of 5 read. Such a good book, very spicy, was an easy and fast read. It is all of it. And it's also interesting, like there's more to just the spice. Like there's also like the character building and the background of Persephone, and then the character background and building of Hades, and then seeing their relationship flourish, because this is like an enemies to lovers. They fucking hated each other in the beginning. They could have stand one another, but it's good. Definitely good. So I did read It Ends With Us. This book has gotten a lot of controversy because people felt like she was romanticizing being in a domestic abuse relationship. However, I didn't get that. I saw it as someone who was in a domestic abuse relationship but was being manipulated to the point that she couldn't leave. Like she felt like she needed to stay. But there is no trigger warnings in this, but it does touch on the domestic abuse aspect. And a lot of this book, I believe, is written about her mother. So I really liked it. I didn't have a problem with it at all. Most people did, because after her, whatever happened with her son came out. But I loved the book. This wasn't the book that got me into reading again, I don't think. I don't remember what book it was, but I did like this book. It was really, really good. Pretty much it is about a girl named Lily, and then she meets someone, I forgot the other guy's name. She meets Ryle, they end up getting married, and it starts going downhill, but she had a childhood like crush on this guy Atlas, and he was homeless, so she would help him out and stuff like that. Father was very abusive towards the mom, and yeah, I don't want to say too much because it'll give it away, but I would definitely read this book if you haven't already. And if you don't like it, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to like everything. There's a couple books that I didn't like. You don't see me trashing everybody about it. Let me see. Did I read this last year? Oh no. So, this wasn't last year, but I'll still include it. So I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I did not write a review for it, but it was a pretty good book. Like, I wasn't upset by it. Second book to that series is It Starts With Us, and I read this in the beginning of this year. So this book, it kind of gives the perspective of Atlas and Lily together rather than Lily and Ryle. And it was cute. Like, I liked it. 5 out of 5. I love this for Atlas and Lily. They definitely needed this happily ever after. And totally, like, fuck Ryle, but at least he's putting in the work and trying a lot. A lot of baby daddies out there couldn't do the same, and that's sad. And even though Ryle was a shitty ass husband to be in a relationship with, like, seeing him try for his daughter, like, it was just chef kiss. Like, you go, Ryle. Even though still fuck you, because Lily did not deserve that. I also read Atomic Habits. I like to read at least like one self-help kind of book, just, you know, to do, you know, just to feel like I'm progressing in the world or something. But I read Atomic Habits and I really liked it. It really broke down like how you can change bad habits into good ones and how to pretty much train your mind to think like after every habit you're getting a reward, because I guess humans and like mammals in general, they act on a reward system, like the I forgot the name of it, but it's like with the bell and the dog, and then you give them a treat when the bell dings, so then when you don't give them a treat, the dog salivates or whatever. It's similar to that, but he puts it in a perspective where it's like you always feel like you're accomplishing something and you're getting a reward. This was by James Clear. I believe I rated this a 5 stars. Yes. I rated this a 5 stars. Really enjoyed this. It really put a lot of things into perspective for me. It gives a ton of great tools to effectively build habits, and I hope to stick to some of the new habits I've started to develop while I read this book in 2024. I am a freelance graphic designer, so building my business from the ground up is definitely going to be hard, but I know that I'm capable of doing it, and I know it's what I was meant to do. I just have to really work towards and make these small changes in my everyday habits. Definitely a must read if you're interested in self-growth, and it wasn't hard to read because there's some like self-help books that are literally so freaking boring to get through, but this one was good. It wasn't bad at all. My stack down here is gonna fall. So, moving on, I have read book 1 through 6 of the Harry Potter series. Before I read this book or this series, I was very much so like, if you read Harry Potter, you're a freaking nerd, because once people would read Harry Potter, their whole life becomes Harry Potter. So I embarked on the journey. My boyfriend got this for me, I believe last Christmas, and now my whole life just revolves around Harry Potter. I would have to say, I don't even know what my favorite book is. I like all of them. I think my favorite book is the 3rd book. This is when he finds out that he has a godfather, and he starts getting to get an idea of like who his family was and stuff like that, even though everybody's like over here telling him exactly who his dad was, but his godfather was like his dad's best friend, so he got to learn a little bit more. Right now I'm currently reading the 7th one, that's why it is not up here. About 130 pages into it, and so far so good. I've already watched all the movies, so I know what happens, but like I like to read the books because you get a different perspective. Like in the 6th book, there's something pretty big that happens in it, and like hearing or just reading Harry's perspective on it, like it almost brought a tear to my eye. And like I told you before, I'm practically like a robot. I don't be crying on books. And last but not least, I read this this series to get me to 25 books this year. But that is the Summer I Turned Pretty series. It's a 3-book trilogy, and the covers are super stinking cute. I really like the books. I did watch a little bit of the series on Amazon or Prime. It kind of had me confused when I started reading the books because I thought I was reading them in the wrong order, but according to Goodreads, I was in the right order. But it's pretty much about this girl. She has these family friends, or like that she's been friends with since birth practically, and it's her brother, her, and then the 2 brothers on the other family side. The moms are best friends, so they raise their kids together. And Belly, that's her name, her real name's Isabel, she has a crush on one of the brothers, but also kind of has some feelings towards the other. So she's constantly like going back and forth, trying to figure out, well, not trying to figure out, but just trying to see which one would be the best suitor, I guess, for her. She ends up dating both of them. But the ending of it was really, really cute. And I'm glad that she picked that brother because, I mean, it's just history. Like she had feelings for him for years. So like it was bound to happen. But there was some sad moments, and there were some points where I couldn't stand Belly. So she's definitely a brat. She's 100% a brat. So this series, I rated all 3 books 5 stars, which could be controversial because a lot of people did not like the series, but I didn't mind it. Like, Belly was definitely a brat. Taylor, I feel like in the show and like in the book, Taylor was perceived perfectly. Like, they did her character perfectly. But for the last book of the series, I said, okay, the series is definitely had its up and down moments, but it wasn't terrible. The girl is a teenager who is caught in the midst of 2 boys. Like, that shit isn't easy, but I loved the ending. So stinking cute. And I rated that series a 5 out of 5. But yes, that is all of my physical books that I've read. I'm gonna check here to see which ones I remember that were on my Kindle. ACOTAR. I read the first book to ACOTAR. I don't have my copy here. My friend is borrowing it. But ACOTAR, I rated it a 5 out of 5 stars. This book was absolutely amazing. Slow start, but after page like 150, it really starts to pick up. The action was amazing. The dialogue, the mind tricks, I love it. Planning to get the second book hella soon. And I did get the second book and I started reading it, but I didn't read it back to back. I put like a couple books in between it. And I ended up DNFing the second one, but I think what I'm gonna do is get the rest of the series, because that seems like a series that needs to be read like right after one another, because there's just so much stuff going on in it and it's hard to remember everything that happened. So once I get my first copy back, I'm most likely gonna read it again and then start the second one and hopefully get the remainder of the series. The next one that I read, these are all my Kindle reads that I read. So one of them is From the Embers by Ali Martinez. And I loved this book. I really, really liked this book. It was my first like digital read for the year, because before I would do like a physical read and then a digital read. And I really liked it. It was about this this friend group. It was two wives and a husband set, and they were having a game night, and something happened to where their freaking house blows up. The wife from one relationship and the husband from the other, they both died. So then it left the wife and the husband. Like, it's so confusing to like talk about it, but like once you know the names and stuff like that, it's a little bit easier. But pretty much the 2 people that were left, they weren't married, they weren't together, their partners died. So then they ended up staying, like helping each other out by raising the kids together, because they all had kids. And it turns into a love story. But there's also like some shit that just starts appearing like as the like book goes on. Some like random ass shit that just keeps popping up as the year goes on or whatever, and it gets crazy. But it's worth a read. Another book that I read on my Kindle was Pucking Around by Emily Rath. Oh my goodness. That book, it is a hockey romance. It is a hockey romance, and it's about this like sports medicine doctor. She recently graduated out of med school, and she was working at a clinic. She ended up getting a great job on a hockey team for like a sports therapist position or sports doc, I don't know. But she ended up getting that position. Prior to, there is a prequel to this book. She had ran into one of the players on like a vacation she was on. They ended up hooking up at that time, and then she came and started working for his hockey team, and they hooked up again. But it gets crazy because it's not just him. Like there's like 3 or 4 other people that are involved in this. But it is a spicy book, downright. I rated it a 5 out of 5 stars. Spice was spicing, did have some cringe moments, but it was spicy. There is like moments where it's like male on male, so just a little FYI there. And then my last Kindle read, I like reading on my Kindle, but sometimes like I just enjoy a good book, so that's why a lot of them are books. The last one I read this recently in the beginning of December because I wanted a little holiday romance. And I started reading one, and it was just weird. I did not like it. It was like a Christmas spice. It wasn't like anything that's trending. It was like like something that I got on Stuff Your Kindle Day. And if you're so the Christmas Fix, this is actually, I believe, the second book in this series, but I read it as a stand. It was still like good. Like it wasn't bad at all. But pretty much it's about this actress who is trying to find like another another Christmas holiday special type of thing, and she decides to help this small town that needed to be rebuilt after this crazy ass freaking hurricane. The mayor of the town is like totally against her because he has like a daughter and doesn't want her to think like being an actress is like a viable option for living or whatever. They keep going back and forth, enemies to lover trope, and they finally get together, and it's really cute. So I rated that one a 5 out of 5. Definitely a cute ending for Kat and Noah. Like incredibly cute. However, leading up to their aha moment, I was getting so annoyed with Kat, but she's a businesswoman. Leading that lifestyle is not easy. But yes, that is all of my books that I have read for 2023. And I'm already like starting to kind of plan my 2024 TBR. I think I'm gonna start trying to dive into most of my series that I have. So like right now I have I think it's called The Billionaires or Billiards. I don't know. It starts with Fine Print and then Terms and Condition by Lauren Asher. I think I'm gonna start that series soon, like after I finish the 7th Harry Potter book. I added a couple things to my Kindle today because it is Stuff Your Kindle Day. And yeah, but I hope you guys liked it. If you did, leave me a comment with any of the books that you read, your insights on it, and what you plan on reading for 2024, because I am always looking for book recommendations, because looking at what I have here versus what's on my shelf, like I have a lot, but like some of them I just don't find an interest in picking them up yet. So there's that. But thank you so much for watching. If you would like to, please go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to comment what you're reading in 2024, or if you read any of the 25 books that I also read, let me know. I would love to have an open discussion about them. I freaking love talking about books. But keep reading and stay beautiful. Bye.